really didn't mention was anything about, if it was male or female, what, what race. That's a good thing, because, it's good not to think in those terms or those stereotypes. So let's see, kind of what we got for math now. Hopefully it's the same trend of, the aspects of the person, not what the person is like, what the person actually is. So, I can't really read that one, so let's math. Detail-oriented. Okay, that's good. I like that. Angry. All right. Monotone. Yes. I ask you, like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. It's interesting. It's interesting to see what you guys think of, I guess, each other. It seems that we're, mathematics and science people. So, not to start any wars afterwards or anything. Curiosity. All right, that's a good one. Methodical. All right, that's good. Organized. I like that. Smart. Nerdy. So nerdy, smart. Nerdy, but likes problem solving. Okay. So orderly thought process and nerd again. So wow. So apparently the consensus is that the general idea of mathematician is that they're a nerd, which it's somewhat of a stereotype. Is not all mathematicians are nerds. As it's definitely not the case. But I'm glad that no one really gave the stereotype of as you think of a chemist, maybe they're all white or all male. And as a majority of math and science, especially throughout college, you see a lot of male or white stereotypes pushed, which creates a lot of negative effects later on down the road for students. That doesn't. Okay.
Well, there you go.
No, I can play it. Actually, I can just push.
Okay.
I can push.
Okay,
Okay, that's what that was. Good to know. It's not working. Anyway, so basically, what does a chemist look like? Josh is all right. He's a white male. That fits what the stereotype is, because generally when especially in the past, whenever you see on TV as a chemist, it was more typically either a white male of some sort, or either a male of maybe, and I know Asians are stereotyped as this also. It's unfortunate, but these are some of the common stereotypes we see nowadays, and also the same with mathematicians. And I always heard all the time in college that they saw an Asian, and you're like, oh, he must be brilliant in mathematics. It's unfortunate because not everybody's the same, but these stereotypes kind of drive how people perceive themselves, and it creates somewhat of like a model for students, even at the high school level, for achievement. So the stereotype effects. So it affects the perceived similarity model, as we learned before from our textbook, which basically is what John, do you remember what the perceived similarity model was?
No.
Really, does anyone have a general, maybe?
Oh, that's how the student can relate to the teacher?
Exactly, or relate to the teacher, or whoever they want to be, right? Yeah, their model. So, a field like maybe nursing, the stereotype is, it's a more feminine field, so women are more comfortable going into that field. It has to do, these stereotypes contribute to a lot of that, so that might be the reason why, maybe specific either ethnicities, racial groups, or even gender may be more inclined to go one route or the other, which just more instates that stereotype. So, and also we have the stereotype threat, which was in the textbook, and it's the idea that a specific stereotype, due to a specific stereotype, it puts pressure on the students. And this pressure, basically, it's like this external force that, and who needs more pressure than we already have now? To get everything done, even in high school, there's so much pressure, to get good grades, to be active in sports, you got, anything else, friends, family, you got to deal with all that stuff. So, why would we want to create, this stereotype just adds more pressure on the students, and actually has been seen to make them produce worse results due to this threat. And it's basically the fear that they're going to fit into that stereotype. Because, I mean, obviously, like, me personally, I don't want to fit into any stereotype. I don't want someone to look at me and be like, oh, yeah, he fits in that stereotype. He's obviously this. I mean, and I don't want to, and, you know, people say that I might be bad at, you know, language or something because I'm a scientist. I personally, I don't want to fit into that stereotype, so I want to do well in English, but it creates an extra pressure for me to do well, but then it also creates this fear of I'm going to fail, and then therefore I don't achieve as well as I need to. So, you know, as future teachers, how do you guys think we maybe can combat this, you know? Does anyone have any general ideas of how we can eliminate this from the classroom or make this irrelevant? Taylor, yes?
You can talk about, well, bringing special guests, for example, maybe
Okay.
are definitely not in the stereotype.
I like
or
that.
Talk about in class, you know, specific people in the news or something that are not in that stereotype.
Okay, I like that. That's a good idea. Yes.
If you think that you yourself are, you know, facilitating that stereotype being perceived by the student, then, I mean, you know, let the student know, you know, a little bit more personal information about yourself. Try to get maybe some connections going, like, oh yeah, I like American Idol too, or, you know, whatever. And I don't like American Idol, but, you know, I mean, try to relate on the student level a little bit so that they can kind of, you know, break that stereotype. Okay, he's not this, you know, lab coat nerd that, you know, role plays when he goes home or something.
That's wonderful. I love that. Anyone else have any ideas of how you could, you know, maybe eliminate this stereotype? Or how many? I'll put this into context. So, like I said before, you know, scientists are more seen as, you know, white or Asian males in the field. But personally, is what I thought was you could present other scientists that maybe definitely don't fit into the stereotype that had astounding effects on, you know, science as we know it. One in particular, due to the white stereotype, you know. That's great. Never mind. Apologies. Forgot his name. So, you have Marie Curie and other women in science that have done many things. You have, I mean, just over the years, there's tons of scientists that have done amazing things and have changed the world of science that, you know, maybe not have been white and may not have been male. You know, it doesn't matter, and you just maybe put more of a, you know, highlight these people in this class or in your field, so that way it brings out that, oh, maybe I don't fit this stereotype, but I can still make amazing achievements. And also the book kind of gave a few examples of how, or ideas of how to do this. They said basically create positive expectations of all students. So from day one in your class, which you want to do this anyways for all students, but day one you want to be able to, you know, give your expectations. What do I expect from everyone, and not just expect it from maybe one group, one little clique or something. Everybody, and then treat all students the same, which obviously you should do anyways. But then also focus more on individual achievement. So the improvement of the individual student, not improvement as from one student compared to someone else. You don't want to compare the students because they might get that pressure built up again because, oh man, this is competitive. I'm not going to do as good as this one. This other person, they're going to see me as this, you know, either dumb stereotype or a stereotype that's, you know, I mean, I guess an inferior in a way I mean, stereotypes basically make people feel. So you have to do these things in order to basically eliminate this from the classroom. And also, you know, minorities nowadays and ethnicities, you know, back, you know, 20, 30 years ago, there was it was a majority of, you know, white Americans, male and female, but it was, I mean, that was the majority, and then the minorities, I mean, African American and Hispanic, but they were still relatively small amounts. According to the census, the U.S. Census, that actually, and it's predicted in 2020 that 1 out of 5 students are going to be Hispanic. So more often now, white Americans are not the majority anymore. It's almost an equal sharing of. I mean, they're still the majority, but it's becoming more spread out. I mean, obviously, 1 out of 5 students will be Hispanic. I mean, also African Americans. I mean, those numbers are going to increase over time. So therefore, I mean, I don't know if that'll eliminate the stereotype still, but we need to, as teachers, address these students also in order to create productive gains, because as the amount increases, you can't ignore these stereotypes because it's going to be more and more prevalent, or more and more students are going to be affected by these stereotypes. So, but yeah, basically, I mean, that's about it. I don't know if you guys have any other ideas, maybe how to, I mean, just really what I want to get you guys thinking is just over time in the future when you guys are in your classroom, you're going to have to deal with, you're going to have to be able to change the way you teach, maybe for a second language or for just different ethnicities and stuff. Yes, I'm sorry.
With the information about the census, do you think that stereotypes will affect white students eventually?
I think so. I think they actually do now a little bit. I mean, it's not as drastic as, but I know like maybe the rich white kid. I have this stereotype where I have to get into maybe Harvard or something. I have to do amazing on all my stuff because everybody expects me to be the jock football player that gets into the amazing Ivy League school. Maybe that pressure, it creates students to either worry, and it's pressure maybe from their parents or just from the stereotype. It kind of depends, but I mean, I think it could be the case later on, yes, down the road. I agree. So, does anyone else have any questions or thoughts? Yes, John.
Just one addition while we're going to lost track. Anybody like peanut butter or super soakers?
That's what I was trying
They
to
were both invented by African Americans, along with the automatic transmission. So if you don't have a stick shift.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going for earlier. I couldn't remember. Martin Luther, isn't it? Or no, it's
George Washington Carver.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what I didn't say. And I don't know. I forgot to put it in my slides, and I just brained. I don't know why. It just disappeared from my mind what his name was. But yeah, George Washington Carver. I mean, he invented hundreds of inventions. So, so that's my thing. If anybody else, Taylor, yes.
No.
Oh, you didn't. Okay, that's it. And thank you.
Thanks.